Chaos, as Littlefinger once told us, is a ladder. No family names, legendary swords, impregnable castles, or great fortunes necessary. To ascend, absent a famous name like Targaryen or Stark or Lannister, all one needs is courage, luck, and a generous helping of upheaval, disaster, and disarray. This is the path to the throne, the field.
The Night King's influence has hung like an icy pall over the story since the very first scene of the first episode of the first season, when his White Walkers ambushed 3 brothers of the Night's Watch.
But it wasn't until Season 4 that we finally saw the mysterious leader of these blue-eyed ice demons. A White Walker picked up one of Craster's sons, born of rape and incest, and left as an offering, and carried it off from the woods.
It took the infant to the lands of Always Winter, where the Night King waited. Taking the child from an altar of ice, the Night King pressed a finger to the babe's cheek. The infant fell silent, and its eyes turned a brilliant glowing blue. A new White Walker was born.
In Season 5, we witnessed the Night King's power at the Battle of Hardhome. After Mance Rayder's death, the wildlings had gathered at this fishing village on the eastern shore to plan. Jon Snow met them to try to convince them to come south, both to spare their lives and keep them from bolstering the White Walkers' army. Too few took Jon's offer.
But before they could evacuate, the Night King struck. He watched the massacre with what seemed like casual curiosity as Jon discovered that Valyrian steel kills White Walkers. And as the survivors fled out to sea, the Night King raised his arms, and the slain rose in their thousands to join his dark army.
In Season 6, we learned the Night King's origins when Bran Stark slipped far into the continent's past. At a place surrounded by standing stones, the children of the forest drove a blade of obsidian into the chest of a First Man, turning him into the Night King. The White Walkers were a weapon meant to halt and reverse the spread of the First Men, but once winter was brought into the world, its power could not be contained, and the children lost control of their creation.
In Season 7, we saw what that power looks like. Jon and his fellows set off beyond the wall to fetch a White and prove the Army of the Dead's existence. They left with their prize, but not all of them left with their lives. The Night King brought down Viserion, one of Dany's dragons, then raised him, and with his new steed, he brought down the wall, marching his swelling force south at last, to lay waste to humanity.
Or so we assume. Heading into Season 8, the Night King appears unstoppable, a true threat to rule Westeros and bury the works of humankind in a grave of ice and snow. And with the dragon now among his flock, his reach is almost inconceivable. And yet we still have no idea what the Night King actually wants. That's before considering the possibility raised with increasing convincingness across Bran Stark's three-eyed raven training that the Night King and the time-traveling warg Bran are interconnected.
Whether the Night King winds up being Bran or another Stark or someone else entirely, he's about to usher in the next long night. Whether he has any desire to rule in the way that non-ice beings seek to, we can't say. We don't know what's in his heart other than the dragon glass. But we know that if the next last hero rises to beat him back and bring the dawn, the realm will survive. And that if the Night King wins, casting cold and death across the land unchecked, the realm will bleed blue.
As a bastard son of King Robert Baratheon, Gendry, under normal circumstances, would hypothetically have a decent claim to the Iron Throne. Melisandre's interest in the king's blood running through Gendry's veins, is proof positive of this. However, the fact that Robert's supposedly legitimate offspring with Queen Cersei were actually fathered by Jaime Lannister makes Gendry's claim even more compelling. Additionally, House Baratheon was founded by a bastard, so Gendry's potential ascension would have some basis in precedent.
If Gendry pursued his claim, it would mean turning on Dany and Jon and the people he's now aligned with. That is, assuming Dany and Jon are alive. He seems content to wield his hammer and help others forge their path to power. But even if King's Landing doesn't call to him, could Gendry be legitimized and reinstate Baratheon control in the Stormlands? He doesn't need to be a crowned stag to be a stag.
Over the centuries, the Iron Islands has produced many great warriors and fearsome raiders and a few particularly brutal kings. The Greyjoys' respective journeys have brought them within touching distance of power, but the character of the Iron Islands limits their prospects as rulers. Euron Greyjoy, brother of Baelon and uncle to Theon and Yara, is perhaps the most skilled naval commander and explorer in the known world. He was proclaimed king of the Iron Islands at the first King Smoot in millennia, but Euron is Ironborn through and through, and Ironborn culture values only that which is taken by force, despising that which is acquired by commerce and agriculture.
We do not sow, are the Greyjoy words, and indeed, they take. This outlook and the brutality which naturally flows from it might make Euron a king, but his regime can never last.
Theon Greyjoy is the last living son of Baelon Greyjoy, who twice named himself King of the Iron Islands. The first time King Robert descended on him with fire and steel. To ensure Baelon's subjugation, his son Theon was sent to Winterfell, a hostage in all but name. Yet Ned Stark raised him with uncommon kindness and trust as part of his family.
Theon repaid that trust with betrayal. He's too reviled, too broken to ever be accepted by those whom he might rule, and he knows it. He did not seek the salt throne at the King's Moot, supporting Yara's claim instead. Theon's fate is now inextricably tied to his sisters, Euron's prisoner, whom he vowed to rescue at the end of Season 7.
Yara is a great captain, beloved by those who served under her. In Season 6, after the Second Siege of Meereen, Yara and Theon asked Daenerys to support Yara's claim to be the first queen of the Iron Islands in exchange for the services of their fleet. Dany accepted. Should Dany and Jon prevail in their battle against the Night King and Yara survive being her uncle's prisoner, she will be a ruler in her own right.
But remember what she told Theon when he sacked Winterfell. Don't die so far from the sea. Gaining the salt Salt Throne would not lead Yara to seek the Iron Throne. She may be more empathetic than most Ironborn, but she's of the Iron Islands nonetheless. She believes that her power comes from the sea.
Once SAMWELL Tarly branded himself a coward. He joined the Night's Watch after his father threatened to murder him, and though Sam arrived without a place in the world, he eventually found one, with Jon and the library scrolls and Gilly.
Now, Sam has morphed magnificently. On the eve of battle, he's armed not only with a precious Valyrian steel sword, but with newfound confidence. He's also as likely as anyone other than Bran to discover information that proves essential for our heroes. But Sam has never lost it after power. He has, however, proven quite adept at helping those he values rise and guiding them once they have.
Sam may not ever sit the Iron Throne, but he could help reforge the world around it. If this long night recedes, it will be in part because Sam helped figure out how to make it. And then he'll need to focus on something more important than ruling, teaching, so that others may learn of the horrors that befell the world and the heroes who saved it.
Davos' ascent from smuggler to royal advisor reinforces the notion that even a crapper's son could one day become king. He's seen more horrors than most people can imagine and not only persevered, but continued to prize morality in a land increasingly allergic to it. When Stannis asked, "What is the life of one bastard boy against a kingdom?" Davos said, "Everything." The Onion Knight has never valued power over justice, loyalty, or fairness. "You go on," he once told Jon. "You fight for as long as you can." Those might not be the words of a king, but they're the words of a man who helps kings rise.
His fellow royal advisor Varys has plotted and done what he must to save himself and thwart black magic. But as he told Tyrion, he's done it all for peace, prosperity, a land where the powerful do not prey on the powerless. A worthy goal that too few share. Varys once told Ned that he serves the realm because someone must. That's still true, whether or not that someone rules.
Brienne has defied convention for her entire life, but her stated preference is to stand beside the ruler, not to be the ruler. Any king or queen's guard would benefit from including her, but she'll always seek to use Oathkeeper to slash the way to someone else's justice before her own.
Her Squire Pod certainly rules in the bedroom.
Yeah!
And his unflinching devotion has made him a heroic companion to Tyrion and Brienne alike. He may not be bound for the throne, but if he lives through the battle, he's bound for a lifetime next to a sexually gratified partner. Talk about a winner.
Indeed. Bronn, one of the men who helped Pod first sheath his sword, hasn't even been able to get his girl or his castle. He's not getting the throne, though we can say with confidence that if Tyrion ever finds the Church of Tits and Wine, Bronn will be the first to pray at the altar.
For the Hound, meanwhile, no crown can compare to the prospect of slaying his own kin. Sandor Clegane once uttered the words, "Fuck the king," then fled the field of battle. He's not going to sit the Iron Throne, but he'll happily cut down his Franken brothers so that someone else can.
Jorah tore down his family's trust long ago. He wants to see Dany on the throne, and though he'd love to join her as her king, that dream lives in his heart, not reality. His precocious cousin Lyanna is House Mormont's better bet, a fierce advocate for the Northern cause, and ultimately, for that reason, likely content to stay there. Meanwhile, the less said of her peer Robin Arryn, the better. He's not going near the Iron Throne unless it suddenly begins emitting breast milk.
The throne doesn't change its face, but sometimes men do. Could JAQEN and the Faceless Men be guarding the ambition other than serving the many-faced god? The path of the throne would be paved with offerings, but what do we say to the god of this theory? Not today.
The Lord of Light, however, might want a different answer. Thoros has perished, but Beric and Melisandre remain, spreading the word and power of R'hllor. Though the religion remains too uncommon in Westeros to imagine a practitioner leading the realm, they seem certain to play a pivotal role in the endgame. If their prophesized hero rises to fight the darkness, could R'hllor rise too?
Daenerys once said that she wanted to break the wheel, to end the cycle of power in Westeros. If this is what she truly wants, it's revolutionary. Westeros is a monarchy, but nascent forms of democracy are part of the fabric of its history. The Night's Watch selects its Lord Commander by democratic vote. The King's Smoot affords Ironborn captains the opportunity to select their king. And when the Targaryens ruled, succession issues were sometimes resolved by the judgment of a great council of lords.
Even if Daenerys doesn't implement democracy, she's already committed to a radical vision of Westeros by agreeing to allow Yara to rule independently.
Could the agreement survive Yara's potential demise? When Dany first met Jon, she refused to acknowledge the North's independence. Yet when Yara made her pact and Tyrion asked what Dany planned to do if everyone started demanding their independence, Dany said, "She's not demanding, she's asking." The others are free to ask as well.
Maybe they will, and maybe independent kingdoms will bloom. Do you know what the realm is? Littlefinger once asked Varys. It's the 1,000 blades of Aegon's enemies, a story we agree to tell each other over and over until we forget that it's a lie. Varys asked fairly, what's left when we abandon the lie? But maybe the answer isn't chaos. Maybe the answer is a new kind of truth and a new kind of freedom, forged in the fire of progress.